The date of the next general election has yet to be announced, but election discourse is in full swing. Novara is part of it, I'm afraid to say, and voting intentions are beginning to be declared. Comedian Ava Vidal appeared on LBC's Cross Question this week. She was asked whether she'd vote for Labour in the next election, and this is what she said.
Labour are not actually going to change anything. Everything that the Conservatives have already done. When you ask Keir Starmer, are you going to pull back on this policy? Are you going to pull back? It was like, no, I'm not. So at the end of the day, we're going to have these...
quoting his new hero.
We're going to have, exactly, Margaret Thatcher, for goodness sake. I like my Conservatives to be honest, mean-spirited, and to just be honest about who you are. I like my Conservatives to be Conservatives. I don't want Conservatives in, with a red rose. I'll keep the Conservatives that we have, thank you.
But you will vote for Keir Starmer?
Absolutely not.
You're not going to vote Labour?
No way.
But, I mean, you would have done if Jeremy Corbyn had still been leader, wouldn't you? Because you're a bit of a Corbyn
I'm not a bit...
fan.
You see, the thing is, people call you a Corbyn fan...
That's what your Wikipedia says,
anyway. Disparaging. I don't know who wrote on that. They've written some awful things about me. But I honestly, right, I just don't see the difference between Keir Starmer, and I'd rather keep the Tories that we have, thank you.
So you're going to vote Tory?
I'm not going to vote Tory, I'm just not going to...
What are you going to do?
I'm going to do exactly what we did in COVID. I'm going to stay home.
Strong words there, and the rest of the panel were certainly shocked.
Oh, no. Come on.
I'm not voting. No, I'm not.
You're politically engaged. How can you not vote, even if you go down and spoil your ballot paper?
If you can't offer me an alternative to what we have already, let's keep what we have. I really don't care. Labour need to understand you have to be an alternative to the Tories. You can't just be Tory light. That is the problem that we're having. Labour have done so many things, and I don't even want to get into it because I know the sides that are going to come from that way. But I will just say it very quickly. What they've done to the Muslim community, what they've done to the black community, it's been... They've taken our votes for granted, and we are going to show you, actually, our votes for you are not guaranteed. We can suffer. We're from a people. Listen, my ancestors suffered. It's handed down. We've got genetic memory. I can stay and suffer under Tories for quite a lot longer.
We'll vote Green then.
No, I haven't got a Green candidate anymore.
Well, you will have. Go and spoil your ballot paper. At least make an effort to take part in the democratic process.
What?
There are people...
When I can stay in and watch Netflix.
I think this is really interesting because Ava's position is the embodiment of political disengagement. She's totally disillusioned. The way she points at Beth Winter, I don't think she knows who she is and what she believes in, but she just assumes because she's Labour, she'll be dismissing what she says. Do I totally agree with Ava's position? No, but I can understand it. What's even more interesting is she's up against Ian Dale, who represents the sort of moderate Tory who still has faith in parliamentary processes and thinks all that's wrong with what's going on is a couple of rogue actors within the party. And he cannot understand why someone would be so disheartened that not only do they not vote, they stay home, they don't even spoil their ballot. He can't understand the logic behind that way of thinking. And neither of these camps are trying to understand each other. When pressed, Ava explained more of her reasoning.
If we've got a political party that was supposed to be our natural home, and that political party is doing things to get people, they're calling themselves a broad church, and then they're removing people with certain views, why should they participate in their own humiliation? And get thrown out. That's all that happens. Keir Starmer has expelled how many people now? It's ridiculous. I mean, people feel like they can't be a part of it.
Beth Winter, you must be sitting there thinking, oh my God, if we can't get the likes of Ava to vote for us, we're in real trouble.
I think it's really important for our leader, Keir Starmer, to listen to Ava and all the other and all the other possibly former members of the Labour Party who have now left. There are a number of us who are hanging on in, who I joined the party because of Jeremy Corbyn and John McDonnell back in 2016 and was elected on that manifesto. And I still stand by that manifesto of 2019. And we are pushing within the party for those progressive policies to be in the next manifesto for the next general election. But it is very concerning, and those views are shared by many, many people up and down the country. And our party does need to take note and listen to those views.
That was Beth Winter at the end, Labour MP for Cynon Valley. Helena, are you voting Labour at the next election? What did you make of Ava's speech?
Well, full disclosure, I am a paid-up Green Party member, so I am very slightly biased on this issue, so I will not be voting for the Labour Party at this next election, and I will actively advocate for other people also not to vote for the Labour Party at the next general election. Keir Starmer was very open talking about the left of the Labour Party. He said the door is open and you can leave. So I did. I did leave, right? And the really salient point at the end there, where she says, "Oh, well, why would I stay and fight just to get kicked out?" Because that's what happens, right? You disagree with the Starmer diktat, you get kicked out, right? The Politburo excommunicate you at this point, essentially, right? There is no mechanism for pushing the Labour Party to the left from the inside. It's clear they don't care about what the membership think. In that Portland pamphlet that I referenced earlier, they already have said that they believe that engagement with the membership is something to be managed rather than encouraged. They don't care about what the membership think. They have their own political diktat and they're sticking with it. And I don't believe in that, so I'm not going to vote for it. It's incredibly simple. Right now, the usual response you get to this is, well, why don't you vote tactically, right? If you vote for the Green Party, you're wasting your vote, quote unquote, because you're not voting for one of the top two parties. And first of all, I believe voting is a case of utility, right? I believe there is utility in voting for the Green Party because of how similar the Conservative and the Labour Party are at the moment. And I'm going to give credence to the Labour Party's Conservative bent by voting for them further. But even so, the idea that you only vote tactically based upon who can win your constituency is under the premise that your vote can't influence policy unless that candidate wins the election. And we have a permanent case of that not being true, right? You look at the UKIP parties, or the United Kingdom Independence Party, rather. You look at UKIP in the period up to 2015, where they continually ate into the Conservative Party's percentage of the vote. And David Cameron was scared, and so he offered the referendum policy to try and stop them from bleeding votes to the right wing. It's happening with Reform UK, literally influencing the policy that's being voted on as we speak by cutting into the Conservative Party's vote share and forcing them to be able to actually move towards what they want to vote for. And that's what we should be doing with the Labour Party, right? UKIP won one seat because Douglas Carswell defected and they got the Brexit that they were campaigning for. And we can do the same thing from the left. So look, if you're not going to take our vote as something that you would like to actually offer us on policy, then we will leave. We won't engage with your party anymore and we will vote for somebody else. And you can win us back by moving on policy. Otherwise, we'll stay where we are and you will risk losing huge swathes of our vote. It's very, very simple. And on top of that, this idea that we need to have essentially a conservative-looking party to win people's votes is essentially a large form of capitulation from the current Labour establishment, right? Because politics is about narratives. It's the narratives that you can spin and the narratives that you can take into an election. We've had 13 years of failure, almost 14 at this point, of continued failed governance. And the line that people go with is that the governance has failed specifically because the Conservative Party are in power. And that's not true. It's not failed because the Conservative Party are in power. It's failed because the Conservative Party have been implementing the ideology of conservatism, right? Austerity, Conservative ideology, massive failure. Privatisation, Conservative ideology, massive failure. The hard Brexit deal that we gotten was the spearhead of the Brexit campaign, Conservative ideology, massive failure. We have a litany of failures, not of Conservative Party policy, of Conservative Party people being in charge, but of the Conservative Party implementing their chosen ideology. If you're a Labour Party leader and you can't campaign on not conservative ideology, if you can't make a positive case for a change of ideology rather than a change in management, you've failed. I'm sorry, you've massively failed. And unfortunately, you can't make me vote for something that I fundamentally disagree with. And so unless they change, I will be very happily staying with my party of choice, which is the Green Party at the next election.